everybody, to Survive and Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by BetNow.eu. To get a 50% cashback bonus on your first deposit, use the promo code TRUTH50 at thegruelingtruth.com by clicking on the banner for BetNow.eu at the top of the page, or you can go straight to BetNow.eu and use the promo code TRUTH50. We are also brought to you by Seat Giant, so make sure you check those guys out also. I am your co-host for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, 1981 national champion for the Indiana Hoosiers and a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, because obviously they let pretty much everybody in, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Oh, I'm doing great. And I got two questions for you, Mike, before we bring our guest on board. Number one is, did you bet my money last night?
No, I can't bet your money, Steve. You have your own account.
I'm not betting it. I don't gamble, but I've got money in that account.
Well, I can tell you who to bet on, but I'm not going to go in your account and bet for you. What are you, 10?
Why not?
Because be a man.
Why not?
I'll just tell you who to bet. You go bet it, and you'll win.
I'll screw some team out of something if I bet, because whoever I bet on will lose, and I won't bet on Chase Elliott, because if I bet on Chase Elliott this weekend at Watkins Glen, who he won last year, he'll lose because I'm going to bet on him.
Is this going to degenerate into a NASCAR talk again? Because we had that yesterday, and I don't want to talk about NASCAR.
I know. And then the other thing I have to say is Seat Giant. I love those guys. I've actually bought tickets from them before, but I just bought a giant seat. I actually went to Staples and bought a big and tall seat, because I'm 6'8", and it is comfortable as all get out. So I'm sitting here now, and they actually make big and tall desk seats, chairs. So there's Seat Giant and there's giant seats. I got a giant seat.
All right, Steve. Before we lose our listeners, let's go ahead and introduce our guest. Former Pro Bowl kicker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, played for a couple teams also. Help me welcome to the show, Mike Hollis. How you doing, Mike?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. I'm doing the best I can to keep from cracking up when you guys talk. Right, I'm just listening to you guys.
We know. Hey, Mike, I got one quick question for you.
Which Mike are you talking to?
Hollister, not you. I don't want to talk to
Hollister?
you.
Who's Mike Hollister?
What do I want to talk to you for? Mike, the other Mike.
Okay, go ahead.
What's it like? You played for the Jaguars, right? You played for the Jaguars?
Yes, sir.
So what's it like to lose to the Colts?
Back when I played, we didn't lose to the Colts very often, so I don't know.
There you go.
I have no answer to that question.
See, Mike was on the team with Brunell and Leon Searcy, who ignored my message this morning, too. So Leon may be busy. But next time Leon's on, we're going to give him all kind of trouble. So I wrote an article a few weeks back, and there's been a lot of talk about this with CBD, marijuana in the NFL. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about, you work for a company that sells CBD. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get into the benefits of CBD and medical marijuana.
Okay, great. I got involved with a company called Canaway, and we are one of 15 subsidiaries of Medical Marijuana, Inc. So, obviously, the credibility and the ethics are already there with that company and having such a great parent company, of course. But, Nick Lowry was a guy who introduced this company to me, and actually Brian Barker as well, right around the same time. Nick and Brian Barker had played in Kansas City together with the Chiefs about 4 years or so. But, so got involved with the company and just kind of and at the time I wasn't really I kind of had heard and read a little bit about CBD and what it's done for people and all that, but I was just curious. And then when I got involved with the company and started taking the products, I was like, wow, this stuff is really working. I got to look into this a little bit more. And I've been doing a lot of research and just kind of, reading up on a lot of information with regards to CBD and what it's done and the great health benefits of taking the product. So we're a company of first. We were the first publicly traded CBD company in the United States, of course, and a lot of great things. And I could go on forever about the company as far as the the quality of products and the quality of people that are at that company as well. And we're doing really good things. We're getting a lot of former NFL guys involved in the sports program of Canaway, and NBA guys and baseball guys and Olympic gold medal winners and things like that. And there's a big following of endorsers, sports endorsers for product support and company support for throughout Canaway. So very excited about being a part of this company, and excited to see what the future holds for me personally and also the company.
Yeah, and the thing is about the CBD, if you go to me and Steve both have used it. My entire family's used it. I know Steve has used it to help him. Steve, you want to explain to everybody exactly the effects CBD's had on your life over the last few months?
It's been absolutely wonderful. We're in California, so obviously marijuana is legal out here, and all forms of it are legal. So whenever my son does whatever he wants to do, he generally picks up a bottle for me. And I started taking it probably about 3 months ago because I have neuropathy in my legs. It is an amazing product. I had some hallucinations at night. I had some wild dreams. I don't want to say hallucinations, some wild dreams. The first couple of nights I took it. I'm like, wow, these are vivid dreams. And you feel like you were living in a dream. Then that all went away. You settled into it. But it changes your life.
Are you sure your son got you just straight CBD, Steve?
I got the bottle. I'm trying to get my wife in here to bring my bottle to me, Tia.
Yeah, because I've never had any, hallucinogenic dreams or vivid dreams of CBD.
Well, I know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I was having a bad moment in my life, but they went away immediately, and you slept better. You slept a lot better. You slept more sound. You I feel no pain virtually at all. And it's simple to take. You just put, I have the dropper. I put it under my tongue, probably a couple times a day, and it gives you a revitalization of being able to do what you want to do.
Yeah,
and when you have neuropathy in your legs, I mean, it's hard because you don't have any feeling. I have no feeling in my feet whatsoever, basically.
Yeah,
so
the one thing you got to watch, Mike, is the fact that I've tried all kinds of CBD. We've been using them for like 5 or 6 years. My son he was kind of on the spectrum with Asperger's and was having a lot of issues when he was like 13, 14 years old, and we started trying the CBD. And once we found the right one, those issues, while still there, were not as bad as what they were. But I know this from trying a bunch of different CBD products, because it wasn't legal in the state of Indiana when we started using it. There's a lot of products out there that are not the purest.
I think I mentioned to you this a while ago, Mike, about the study that the FDA just did recently. It wasn't too long ago that they chose 38 randomly chosen products, CBD products on the market today, and they found after studying what was in the bottles that 34 of the 38 products they tested came back with little to no CBD in them at all. So it's not this industry is not regulated by the FDA yet, and when it will very shortly, of course. But when it finally does officially start regulating, you'll see a lot of those companies that are selling virtually, coconut oil. You'll see those guys.
Okay, here's a question for you. Here's the question for you, Mike. I'm going to go Mike 1. Mike Goodpaster, you're Mike 1. Mike, you're Mike 2. Mike 2.
Okay.
When does Big Pharma get involved into this product now and start creating their own CBD? Is it going to take for universal approval it's legal in all states before they do it? Because I just read a story where a grandmother in Florida got arrested at Disney World because she had CBD oil in her purse.
Yeah.
And we all saw that story on national TV, which is ridiculous.
Right.
So when does Big Pharma get into this and say, this is a market we need to study? Are they going to wait for the FDA to get involved in it and start regulating it? Or are they just going to jump in and say, this is a cash cow? Because I'll tell you, the stuff works if you get good stuff.
Right. I think the sooner that they can capitalize on the big dollars, of course, we all kind of have that theory and that assumption that big pharma is all about the money, in which it kind of is. There's a lot of greedy people in that sort of industry.
Easy. I've worked in that industry for 25 years. Be careful.
Yeah,
25 years working for Pfizer.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I believe when the FDA starts regulating and it becomes more of a standard and well accepted, that big pharma will slowly start creeping in and kind of that they're going to want definitely a piece of the pie. You can kind of tell that you can kind of see little patterns here and there that show you that the CBD industry is becoming large and a lot of people are getting off those. Matter of fact, quick story about Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare. He's involved with Canaway as well and part of the sports program, and he got off all of his opioids and his Ambien within about a week of having taken the Canaway products, and he's loving it. So it's changing. It's getting rid of all the chemicals that we've been taking. It's taking over, and it's a natural plant. There's a lot of studies, and I saw something recently. There was that showed that there was more studies done on the cannabis plant than studies on Toradol, hydrocodone, and Tylenol combined. So
right.
Why are we studying so much on the plant, the cannabis plant, way more on the plant than we are on these chemicals that are produced?
I would say the
pain.
reason is because those are all big pharma products, and they want those to actually be available. And I think that
Absolutely.
the CBD is something you don't want available, because if it fixes things, it costs big pharma money, because they're better off to not treat the cause of the problem. They're better off to just treat the problem and keep you coming back and buying more drugs.
Absolutely.
And here's the question, Mike, too. Can this drug replace and I don't want to get into a discussion about opioids and everything like that. Mike and I talked about, we don't want to go there for this, but can CBD replace the opioids in many cases?
Well, long-term use, I believe it should, because if you guys understand, and a lot of people that I talk to about CBD in general, one of the first questions I ask them, I said, because they talk about their ailments, like, hey, I can't sleep at night, I've got anxiety, I've got all these pains, aches and pains, and just a lot of different reasons why they want to take CBD. And I said, well, listen, do you understand what the endocannabinoid system is? And they're like, what? What is that? I said, well, it's the largest self-regulatory system in our bodies that we discovered about 8 years ago, but not until about 3 years ago did we discover how important it really was or is. And so that is our body's regulatory system that maintains our homeostasis in our body, of course. So it basically is a fancy way of saying this endocannabinoid system is responsible for making our bodies feel the way they're naturally supposed to feel. So it's ultimately, the CBD in general is doing a lot more than just those few things that people think that it's good for. It's doing a heck of a lot more. So over time, I think that you'll see a lot of the opioids and big pharma, the pills that people are taking. Over time, I think you're going to see a lot of those kind of fizzle away. I don't know if it's ever going to take it completely over. I'm not one to really speculate on that. That's a big question there.
Yeah, it is. So there are two kinds. There's crystalline isolate, which does not have the THC in it, correct?
Well, there's the CBD isolate, which is just straight
isolate,
CBD,
yeah,
and
which does not have.
We were the first
THC.
Yeah, we were the first company to make that product, by the way.
Is there one better than the other?
Well, you made a comment earlier about the legalization of the CBD, and to be fully honest with you and kind of give you kind of a summary of what's going on here, CBD is legal in the United States. The THC part of that is not in all the states, but with regards to, now I'm breaking it down now, obviously the marijuana plant and the hemp plant, all of our products from Canaway we make from the hemp plant, and these are CBD because hemp is naturally high in CBD and very, very low in THC. It does have some in it, but 0.3% is where it naturally grows as far as the THC level. Well, that ironically is the federal legal limit for THC to have legal products, and that's why the grandmother in Orlando was arrested, because the the law does not. The officers do not have the proper way to test these products, because any trace of CBD in that oil is gonna turn that stick blue. And, it popped out blue. Well, there's THC in it. You're arrested. So, again, they don't know how much THC was in there. Yeah, I'm sure it was, and it could have been a medical marijuana. It could have been something that she legally got from her doctor and all that. I don't know the whole details with that. But if there was a small trace of THC in that product, it probably was flagged for THC. And so there's got to be, and there will be, a way, hopefully soon, that the police can actually identify the difference between it, because THC is a cannabinoid as well, just like CBD is. There's 108 of them, and they do all the different things. Terpenes are really good for sleep, and there's all kinds of the CBDAs, the acid. I can go into detail about all kinds of CBDs, but there's a lot of them in that plant, and they're naturally good for us. And to be honest with you, we as human beings naturally have naturally occurring CBD in our bodies. We have enzymes in our bodies that actually eat the CBD, so we naturally, as human beings, are naturally deficient in CBD, and so we need a supplement for CBD on a daily basis.
So in Mike 1, you're going to run the second half of this show.
I don't really care, Steve. Just keep talking. I'm used to you not shutting up.
I live in California, where it's we have medical shops all over the place. I mean, we have probably 5 of them within 10 blocks of our house. So that's California. But if I take my CBD and fly to Indiana right now, and some THC or TSA guy checks my bag, am I going to get busted?
Is that a question for Mike 1 or Mike 2?
Mike 2.
Okay. I was confused
He's
too.
going to handle the second part about.
Tell you the truth, I can't remember if I'm Mike 1 or Mike 2 right now. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it depends on the. I think there was something recently that said that there are some CBD products that will be will not be questioned at all. But I don't know that answer. It will be soon. And again, this classic example of the grandmother in Orlando. It's you can't speculate what's in it. If it's and again, give it a year or two, and all this conversation we're talking right now will be obsolete. We won't even be talking about this because it will be accepted just like alcohol is.
Until June of last year, I mean, in Indiana, it was like a $200,000 fine and like 6 years in jail if you got caught with CBD. So I was using it for my son and my entire family, and I didn't care because it helped. So I was willing to take the risk. And in Ohio, there's medical marijuana, but until I think 2 days ago, CBD wasn't legal to be sold. And then they passed a law, and there were shops that were open, and as the governor put the law into effect. So, and I think the other thing, Mike, that we didn't talk about it that much, is the endocannabinoid system. Because what it can do is amazing. I mean, almost any ailment you have. I know it helps with fertility, pregnancy, pre- and postnatal development, appetite, pain sensation, mood, memory, just a little bit of everything.
Diabetes,
and it also effectively penetrates the blood-brain barrier, which is huge. And I know that we have James Comerford on. He's with a company too, Replenishing Care and Technologies, that sells high-quality CBD also. And he's always talking about the endocannabinoid system and homeostasis, and just how important those things are to your overall health as a human being.
Yeah, and one of the things that you mentioned a second ago, you said the word brain, and one of the things that Nick Lowry is so passionate about, he's actually a spokesman for a company called Canna Life, and that's another one of the other 15 subsidiaries of Medical Marijuana Inc. But Nick is very, very passionate about his former players, the guys, the teammates that he was with, and he's had a lot of team. He played 18 years in the NFL, so he knows a lot of former NFL guys, and he's got a good number of guys that have actually, God rest their souls, they've actually, committed suicide because of the CTE issue. And what they have studied and what we kind of know today is that CTE and Alzheimer's, what happens in the human brain for both of those diseases are almost identical. And they discovered that CBD is very, very good It doesn't cure it, but it's a very good thing for Alzheimer's patients. It does a lot for them. Well, obviously, the assumption is that, yes, it's going to help for people with CTE, even though we can't really diagnose it with a live human being. But they're discovering that it's doing some good things for people with CTE, if they could discover it. But they again, that's the whole Nick Lowry's thing, and he's talking about the internal helmet. They believe that CBD will kind of create this internal helmet of protection for the brain for guys who are playing sports right now. And so I think what they're kind of discovering is that people who are taking CBD have less likely of chances to have that CTE come about if they're taking CBD on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I can tell you this. I coach my son's high school football team now for the last few years, and I have a homeopathic doctor that suggested, just take the CBD. We've had players that have gotten concussions that take the CBD that recover a lot quicker than the ones that don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Which
exactly.
makes it even more mind-blowing that, like in 2016, Roger Goodell claimed that cannabis has no medical value. Now, keep in mind, this is the same commissioner that pointed out a few years ago that CTE wasn't caused by head trauma. So when you look at this, I think the NHL has no prohibition against CBD. The NCAA does, and that's one of my issues with my younger son who takes CBD. If he goes to play college football, the way it stands right now, he wouldn't be able to take the CBD, which medically helps him.
Yeah, I think that example right there is a shame, and I'm telling you, just give it a couple years or less, and you'll see CBD will become widely acceptable, and people will start opening. And again, I really think it's all about the money. It's really about the pharmas and we can't have the CBD industry take over, because there's again, you look at all these states that have become recreational legal as far as the marijuana part, that a lot of that money, I think there was $90 billion made in the marijuana industry last year alone. $90 billion. There's a lot of good things happening in Colorado because they were one of the original states to become legal. There's a lot of good use that they're using for that tax money that's coming in from the sales of marijuana. So again, it's going to be a good thing. It's just a matter of time before everyone just wakes up.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: when CBD gets big enough, big pharma will get involved in it. Right now,
absolutely,
it's not big enough. It's not big enough for them right now.
It's big enough for them right now, Steve. The problem is they still write the laws. They write the laws. Big Pharma is why CBD has such a hard time being approved and why it's taken so long.
If you're making $90 billion, I ran a district that sold $5 billion worth of drugs out of my own district in Indiana. So
wow. You're proving the point, Steve. That's the point.
Yeah, so if it's that big, then Pfizer or Merck or Lilly or SmithKline Glaxo, they'd be involved in it.
Yeah, but this is the problem. Once you get big pharma involved in it, they're going to put stuff in it that screws it up for everybody anyways.
All right, and then to make a claim that it's going to protect you against CTE, is there any study that validates that? Because, I lived on clinical studies. For 25 years, I read multiple clinical studies, and I know marijuana has been studied. I've read a lot of studies on
it's been studied
CBD,
more than everything you ever sold at Pfizer.
But
combined.
Is there a clinical study that says it improves protection against the brain damage of physical contact? That's a statement I'd be careful about making.
Yeah, and one thing that we talk about with being a rep for Canaway is we'll never claim it cures anything. There's no claims. We're never going to make any claims. We're just going to we have to just talk about what is done for people and just the real life experiences that people are having. And I haven't obviously, and I don't think I'll ask you guys this: have you ever heard of anybody having any bad experience taking any CBD products, real CBD products?
No,
absolutely
none.
not. But it's not studied.
And they talk about
it
is
long-term
studied,
effects.
Steve.
I mean, you talk about 8 years old. You talk about 8 years it's been on the market or available pretty much. To bring a product to market in pharma.
Steve, how about this?
It takes about 14 to
wait a
15
second.
years.
Get off your horse for a second, because this has been proven. The government put a patent on THC as a neuroprotectant. I don't know what more proof you need that does work for that. You can look that up. Look up the government's patent on THC as a neuroprotectant.
I'm glad you brought that.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought
Good.
that.
Is there a study? Is there a study available that I can pull up right now and look at and read?
Yeah, I just
quick
told you.
While you
Look
guys
it up.
are yakking.
THC is a neuroprotectant. I'm not yakking. I just know what I'm talking about. You're talking out of your ass again.
I'm glad, Mike. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that we as Medical Marijuana Inc. and Canaway, we have exclusive rights to that actual patent. So look that up.
There you go, Steve.
Medical Marijuana Inc. is a company with exclusive rights to that
patent and a clinical study are two different things. Okay.
No, it had to be proven for the government to get a patent. Correct, Mike?
In big pharma, we patent a drug the minute we get the formula, and then it takes 14 years to bring that drug to market.
Yeah. Well,
by the time we go through all the clinical trials of going through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, human, animal trials, and then we get about 7 years to sell the product.
How about this? You ever hear of Marinol?
Years.
You ever hear of Marinol? Steve?
Marinol.
I have not.
What's
it's
the
a synthetic drug derived from THC, which has been proven by the federal government through studies over 12 years that it produced help for cancer patients also, which is why it is on the market right now.
Just asking the questions. That's all. I mean, like I said, I take it every day. I have no problems with it. I love it.
Yeah, but don't sit there and act like Big Pharma is something that it's not, because Big Pharma is the dredge of this country. It is why that you have not been able to use CBD or medical marijuana over the last 50 years, Steve. I mean, the industry that you worked for, they write the legislation in Congress. All right, they write it with their money. You know, the congressmen, the senators, all of them, you know, the hands are in the pockets. So this is why this is happening. This is why this doesn't happen until 2015, 2020, because it's been hidden all these years. Everybody knows that it helps. I mean, I can tell you this. I know a lot of players that I've interviewed before on the Legend Show that had issues, and when they started using this, the issues didn't necessarily go away, but it got a hell of a lot better, and it slowed down. There was a boxer that I interviewed probably about 3 years ago that was a former lightweight champion of the world, and about a year later I was going to have him on the show again, and I think it was Teddy Atlas tells me, he says, Mike, he said, he's not doing that good. Now, a month ago, John Raspani and Dennis Taylor had him on the Ringside Boxing Show, and he was fine. He still has days where he has issues, but right now he's so much better 2 years later than what he was that it's unreal. And it's also been proven with the THC, if you combine these products with a plant-based diet, that it will improve the way you are also. Nobody's claiming that it reverses it. They're claiming to improve it. And the thing is, my mom had Alzheimer's, dementia, and they gave her drugs that basically kept her the same way for a couple months until she started to get progressively worse, and they'd put her on another drug that would make her better for a couple months, and then she'd get progressively worse until she died. They never cared about making my mother better. They cared about keeping her alive a little bit longer so they could, you know, get some more money.
No, and I agree with you entirely. Again, and I'm just saying, I use, again, I go back, this is a disclaimer, I use CBD every day. So I love the drug. So I'm a fan of this stuff, and it has changed my life for being able to be mobile and move around.
Then why would you need a clinical study about anything? You're your own clinical study. When you use it, and when everybody you know uses it. Wait, no, don't interrupt me when I'm speaking. I let you talk. You said the second half of the show was mine, so sit there and be a good boy. What we got is this, Steve. You take it. You said it improved you. I took it, improved me. My son
I
took
don't know
it,
what the
improved
lasting
him.
effects are going to be
You're
on
still
me.
talking. So what we get is this. My clinical study is I know about 50 people that have taken it, and all 50 people swear by it. I don't care what a clinical study that is bought for by the government tells me, because I think the FDA is full of shit in most cases. I think the CDC is also. So I'm not going to listen to them. Because if I listen to them,
you know what?
I would still be taking Vicodin for a bad back.
I have 2 vodka tonics, and I feel great immediately.
Yeah,
and
see, that's the other
goes
thing.
away real quick,
That's the other thing.
So what is the long-term effect of CBD on your liver, on your kidney, on your heart, on your organs? Mike, too, is there any studies out there that suggest and the drug's not been available publicly that long, are there any long-term studies that show that it's not going to damage you? Like if you take a certain pharmaceutical drug over a period of time, it's like you take Tylenol, like I know we talked about Kenny Easley, Mike, on a show a couple of days ago, and things that it had for him taking aspirin, 50 aspirin pills a day or whatever. Is there a long-term study out there yet that says this drug is going to have no effect on you over a period of time?
I don't specifically know of any one particular one, but I can tell you this, that there's high levels of CBD in mother's breast milk. Why?
Why, Steve?
Because they're smoking pot, probably. Naturally occurring high levels of CBD in mother's breast milk. There's a reason why mother's breast milk is very, very high in very quality nutrients, because it's good for the baby to grow and all that. So that's my point in saying that. If there's naturally occurring high levels of CBD in a mother's breast milk, then that's good enough for me to understand that it's natural for my body.
Okay, so Mike, too, is CBD, is it a performance-enhancing drug? And I'm going to let Mike Warren take over after this, because he wants to talk about
because you'll just interrupt me because you're always wrong.
Oh,
and you
yes,
get mad
I will.
But
that's okay. We're having a spirited discussion, Mike Warren. So we're having a very fun, spirited discussion.
Now I'll interrupt you, let you see how it is.
That's fine. Is there any incidence of performance enhancement by taking? Because I feel better. I mean, I go farther on my bike. I walk my dogs farther. I feel less pain. I feel it's a performance-enhancing drug to me. I mean, I'm able to be more mobile, do more things, sleep better. So is there any concern about professional sports using CBD and saying, it's a performance-enhancing drug? And then, Mike, take over. I'm done.
Is that for me or is that for Mike 2? I'm confused.
Well, the first one's for Mike 2.
Well,
then
the question
you can take
for
over
me,
Mike
then,
1.
Yeah. I don't. What? Steve, what was the question again?
What was it like to play for Tom Coughlin?
Is there any performance-enhancing value to CBD?
No, I'm kidding. No, the thing is, because for me, it's a natural thing, and it's supposed to, it's getting our bodies to a natural state the way we are supposed to be. So enhancing, you calling that an enhancement performance drug would be like saying, well, our bodies are getting beat up, and we're cheating to get our bodies back in better shape than somebody who's not taking the CBD. I don't really think that's the case. I think it's, CBD in general is good for our bodies in natural everyday living life. I don't think it's going to enhance anything. I mean, it's just there for the natural great things that it's there for. So I wouldn't call it an enhancing drug. And plus, I don't think it's a drug anyways. It's a molecule.
Yeah, because you talked about the homeostasis and endocannabinoid system. Those are already there in your body, Steve. So the only thing you're doing is purifying your body. So it's not like you're taking a steroid. It's not like it's a steroid where you're putting something unnatural in your body to get an unnatural occurrence in your body, which makes you bigger, stronger, faster. What you're doing is you're basically just cleaning your body up. And that makes you a better athlete. And I think if somebody is making themselves better by being a cleaner athlete, I don't know why we would not want that.
But is it performance Is it performance enhancing?
Oh, my God, Steve, you know what? This is the thing. Collagen protein is a performance enhancer. You have collagen, which is the biggest protein in your body, all right? And people take the whey protein. The one thing I can tell you is from doing a lot of studies on this, the collagen protein actually helps you build lean muscle mass quicker than anything else. So collagen will make you a better athlete because you're actually enhancing what is already the protein synthesis in your body. So when you look at this, if you're just enhancing what's already in your body, it's not unnatural. Yes, it's a performance enhancer, but that would be like saying you're not allowed to lift weights because it enhances your performance, Steve.
Okay, well, let me say this. Let's shift into whether professional sports should allow this drug in. Let me say two things. One, there's been two drugs in the last 5 years of my life that have enhanced my performance. CBD and sildenafil citrate. Now, do any of you know what sildenafil citrate is?
Well, from knowing you, it's probably Viagra.
It is Viagra.
Well, and I'll tell you this. So, Viagra...
And I get it free from Pfizer.
Wait a second. Viagra is unnatural. I can tell you this, and my wife was on the other day to bring this in. I weighed 296 pounds on January the 6th. I'm 6'1". I went to a plant-based diet. I started working out every day. I started running every day. Today I weigh 208 pounds. And as my wife will tell you, that is natural Viagra because it's your blood circulation. And if your blood circulates properly, you don't have to get Viagra no matter what age you are. But if you sit on your ass all the time and don't do anything, or you're sick, because I know like you with your foot, you couldn't get out and do much, then maybe Viagra will help you. But I don't want to put something that is not natural in my body anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore because I realize how stupid that is. You get a quick fix for a couple hours, Steve, but it doesn't fix the issue that causes you can't get it up.
All right.
What? This is the
thing. There's not a man in this country
I don't want to hear that.
Not because be using Viagra.
Once again, my wife was on the phone. I have no problem. She even said that. All right? So this is the thing.
All right.
There's not a man in this country over 40 years old. But the problem is there's only about 10% of men in this country over 40 years old that actually take care of themselves the way they're supposed to. You know, because most men drink alcohol, you know, they eat the fattest, steak they can find, and it's not healthy. So, yeah, you're right. 90% of men over 40 can use Viagra. But 10% don't have to because they realize what they put in their body is what causes that. I mean, Viagra was created as a quick way to make a buck off a dude that can't get it up. And the reason they can't get it up isn't because they're not a man. It's because of what they put inside their body, which clogs their arteries.
Okay,
what Mike said.
Thank you, Mike.
I agree entirely.
No, you don't, because you always bring this up, and then I always make you look like a fool, and then you still come back to the argument a couple days later because you think having Viagra to make yourself hard is cute.
All right. And Mike, have you gone to Burger King yet and gotten the new veggie burger?
I don't go to Burger King. No, I'm not going to go someplace because this is the thing. I don't know what they put in their veggie burger. It's still processed. I don't eat any processed meats. You know, I have started eating some grass-fed beef and, non-steroid or hormone-injected chickens from a local farm around here. But other than that, I'm not messing with that stuff anymore because I know when I ate stuff from Burger King or we went out and had a steak, I'd come home and immediately fall asleep and I felt like shit. I don't want to feel like shit.
I had a great pepperoni pizza last night.
Well, good for you. And that's why you'll have to take Viagra tonight, Steve.
All right, so Mike 2.
Yes, sir.
Talk about this and Mike 1, you take over now because
that's
is
what
where
you keep
I know
saying.
this
My
is your
question
specialty.
is this. My question is this, because the NFL, if they truly believe marijuana is such a bad thing, why don't they just test once a year, Mike, and they let you know when they're going to test?
Well, back when I played, I think they were doing that just once a year, and they would tell you the night before they were going to test you during training camp.
Yeah, but you kind of knew it was coming around to start at training camp, right?
Say that again?
I mean, you kind of knew when it was coming, though, correct? Because I've had players tell me that their teams would just tell them a couple months out, hey, you're probably going to be tested on this day.
Right. I mean, during the season is when they're going to testing for the sports and the enhancing sort of drugs. That's when they're testing during the season. But I think during like the big test they do during training camp is the drug one. But again, it still baffles me why. It's still, frowned upon in the NFL, and knowing, and as well, that a lot of guys are doing it anyway. So, yeah, years ago it was an illegal drug, of course, the marijuana part. But, obviously taking it in the NFL, you're taking an illegal substance. That's not good, obviously. But with regards to, any sort of enhancing effects of marijuana or CBD, I don't think that's an issue at all.
Yeah, and then my other problem is this. This is the second part of the show, and you said I had it, Steve. Now,
I got one question.
No.
I got one question.
What?
So if you're playing for the Colts,
why would you want to do that?
You're going to go play Seattle, and one state says CBD is fine here, and the players are taking their CBD, going with them to Seattle.
CBD,
Seattle
Steve.
says Washington's not fine. What happens there?
The NFL doesn't allow CBD.
Yeah,
if they did,
great.
I mean,
But they don't.
So my question is, does the country need to blanketly approve medical marijuana and CBD usage unabashed like California does? Like I said, do you have to get a prescription for CBD in other states? Because in California, you just go to the drugstore and buy it.
You can buy it at a gas
Steve,
station
I think
Indiana.
you're getting to a point where you're talking about the CBD products that are higher than 0.3% THC. That's what you're going with. I'm going with CBD in general, the products from the hemp plant that will not have any more than 0.3% THC. Those products are legal in every state. Why am I in business right now? We can ship to every state in the United States. Plus, I think we're in 35 other countries, and a lot of the other countries are prescription only. But CBD itself is legal in the United States.
Yeah,
okay.
So the CBD should not be a problem, Steve. And the other thing is this. I think where Steve's going with this is with, like, the medical marijuana. And if they made that legal right now in the NFL, there's, 7 to 10 states where it's actually legal. What would happen if you're a player in, let's say, Cincinnati, where it's only medically legal, and you get busted on it then? The NFL says it's all right, but you get arrested for having marijuana, and that's where I think the conundrum comes in.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between distinguishing whether a guy is smoking marijuana or taking CBD products with 0.3%. Like I said, with the grandma in Orlando that got arrested, that it did show positive for THC, but they don't know how much, what level of THC is it? Because 0.3% THC is legal in every state in the United States. So my point in saying that is that you get it, and again, give it a couple of years, and every state, everybody would be fine. When the NFL is talking about CBD consumption, I think they need to understand that CBD from the hemp plant that will not contain any more than 0.3% THC should be totally fine. People say, well, I work in the school, district, and if I get tested every once in a while, and if I get tested positive for THC, I'm going to lose my job. So listen, if there is a small chance that somebody who's taking hemp products that have 0.3% THC over a long period of time, there's a very, very, very small chance that there will be some sort of positive test for THC in their blood. But my point, and this is just a theory on my end, I believe personally that if you are an active person and you're not overweight, you're sweating a little bit every week, once a day, whatever the point may be, if you are active and your body is flushing itself of all the toxins on a regular basis, like someone who's working out a lot, you won't get tested positive for that. You obviously know the THC and where it's stored in your fat cells. So if you're not an overweight person and you're active, I don't think even taking CBD products from a hemp plant that's only 0.3%, I don't think you're going to have any issues.
Yeah, and I think the other problem is this, though. The NFL, and there was an argument made by Goodell in 2013. I found that an argument. And he said that, what about the kids? Because the CBD, he's like, what about the kids? And the problem is you get the hypocrisy of alcohol. I mean, the NFL gladly accept advertising dollars from the alcohol industry, and we're talking a lot of money. $1.4 billion alone in 2016. And if you consider the fact that not just CBD, but cannabis itself is proven to be 114 times safer than alcohol, and look at the players we've had in the past that have been in wrecks that have killed people because they were drunk. And then on top of that, you throw in the guys that are beating up their spouses and threatening their spouses. Nothing happens to them, or they get suspended for a few games. And then I wanted to get your take on Josh Gordon. Because I think Josh Gordon's a guy that has probably cost himself about $150 million from not being able to stop smoking weed. And just the way that they've ruined that guy's life. And he has mental issues. We know that. So I would think maybe that was a way for him to deal with life in general.
Well, I think that, marijuana and THC and CBD and all that, as far as the cannabis is concerned, I think that, a lot of people are taking it for that kind of thing, for anxiety and things like that. And a lot of people need it. So again, it goes back to that whole theory of like, what do we do with people who are in prison for marijuana use or in jail for marijuana use in the states that marijuana is legal? How do you backtrack and say, oh, okay, sorry guys, you can come out now? How's that possible? What's going to happen there?
Yeah.
You get the Kardashians to work on it, because Kim Kardashian's on a crusade to get every drug dealer out of prison.
I thought Kim Kardashian was just on a crusade to have as many ass surgeries as she could.
That too.
Oh, hell. I figured she'd have a Risley implant by now. Biggest ass I know.
Jeez, I take so much crap from you. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you don't give me any crap at all. But, all right. So, Steve, do you have anything else for Mike?
Well, okay. So what does the NFL need? I mean, what does the NFL need to do right now to just say CBD is fine? I mean, is it just up to Goodell and his staff?
Yeah.
What do they need to do? Where do they need to go?
Yes,
It's got to be a state-by-state decision. I mean, do they have to get more state-by-state?
How long is this question going to be?
They are currently looking into it. I know that they just recently had a meeting about that. But again, I think it goes back to that whole fine line between whether a guy is doing, CBD from marijuana, which, there is CBD in marijuana, but it's not a very high content. Plus, marijuana itself is going to be higher in THC. So when you use the term marijuana, you think strictly THC. But anytime I'm talking about CBD, I will never use the word marijuana, because that's not where CBD is really primarily coming from. It's coming from the hemp plant. You cannot get high smoking hemp. You can't. You will fall asleep before you get high.
Risley has hallucinations, though.
I did for the first 2 nights. All right.
I don't think it was for night.
But I don't take drugs. I've never taken a drug in my life other than Viagra. So.
That's where the NFL needs to really understand the difference between what we're talking about here, and I think they're having a hard time trying to distinguish that if we have a guy that we give all the NFL players the right that CBD is legal, well, they're going to go out and smoke a bunch of weed and say, hey, it's legal, it's fine, but that's not really what the point is. The point is CBD in general, and like I said, all of our products are legal in every state. Why is something that's legal in every state? And I think we've established it's not a sports-enhancing drug. Why those two facts? Why aren't they legal in the NFL? That is crazy. It blows my mind.
Well, and here's the devil's advocate answer for you. And again, I love the drug. I use it. I endorse the drug entirely. So I'm just playing devil's advocate right now, having fun with this stuff, because it's a great conversation and you know your stuff, which is great. I go tell Randy Gregory, defensive end, who I coached in high school basketball. My son played with him in high school football. Defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys. He's been busted for smoking marijuana a million times, not a million times, that's an exorbitant number, but several times. Now he finds he can take CBD, and he tries to sneak it in with the THC, thinking, oh, it's CBD, I'm not going to get caught. Therein lies my problem with where Roger Goodell says that's our problem, because people are going to cheat the system.
No, they're not, because they've already got CBD being illegal.
Mike, you and I have conversations every week about NFL players beating up on kids, cheating systems, doing things illegally, and you don't think that this is not an open door to say, I can just fake it and put it in a different bottle or do something different?
No, because it's still going to test positive if marijuana is still illegal. CBD, you're not going to test positive.
Okay. All right. But it's just another door for Randy Gregory to open.
No, it's not. Because if it's legal,
because I know him.
If it's legal, maybe Randy Gregory just does the CBD. Now we all know that he's not, but he could.
He's not going to. Come on.
But I mean, then again, when you look at it, there are studies that have shown that stuff like Delta-9 THC combined with CBD actually does help. So, I mean,
that's called the entourage effect.
Yeah, because
that's in this industry, yep.
Yeah, because when you look at it, all this, if you go by the entourage effect, when you use it all together, whether the THC, the CBD, the terpenes, the CBN, and the CBC, when you use it as the entourage effect, everything kind of works better together from everything I've read.
Sure.
So they should legalize it all.
Agreed.
And make alcohol illegal and not take any more Budweiser money.
Well, you guys understand what happened in the late 1930s, right? With the Hearst family and what had happened was he had all these newspaper, printing, businesses and he had a lot of land with a lot of pine trees, and so he kind of called the hemp industry the wicked weed, and this conspiracy theory against the whole industry, and basically put the hemp industry out of business because of that, and that's why they demonized the cannabis industry. So
yeah, because the newspapers were printed with hemp.
Absolutely. A lot of stuff was printed. There was so much. There was 85% of all. Here's another question. Here's a great question for you, Steve. 85% of all medications that were made in the late 1800s and early 1900s were made from hemp. Look at that. Why? Because it works.
It works.
And actually, if you watch an old Western and you see the guy going around in a carriage with his quack methods to heal people, that was actually what today is Western medicine. And the holistic doctors were the ones that had the hemp and stuff like that actually healed people. It's like today, chiropractors, holistic doctors are considered the quacks. 120 years ago, it was Western medicine that was considered the quacks.
No, I entirely agree. Like I said, I go back to the same statement I made. I take it daily. It works like no tomorrow. And I'm saying anybody that has pain or suffering or anything, you should give it a try and do it. I believe in that fully. I'm just saying at some point you're going to have to get to a point where you're going to have to regulate it in some fashion.
Why? Why does it need to be regulated? Why does the government need to regulate everything, Steve? I mean, the government has regulated so many drugs that have killed millions of people. We don't need more government regulation. What we need is the government to leave us the hell alone. The way this country was founded was this. If I don't mess with you and I don't hurt nobody but myself, I'm allowed to live freely the way I want. And the problem now is everybody wants government regulation. If you try to start a small business, I mean, I run this website, and the government has to be like $400 or $500, every year on regulations for stupid stuff like a workplace poster. I mean, everybody that works for us is miles away from me. They're not going to see the workplace poster, but I still got to pay $100 for it every year. So no, we don't need government regulation because the problem is with Big Pharma the way it is, if you all of a sudden start testing this for the government to approve it, how do you know these tests are legit? Because Big Pharma does not want this stuff to go to market, and they don't want, the FDA to approve it. And my problem is this. A lot of FDA drugs, vaccines, and everything else have been approved that shouldn't have been. So I don't trust the government to regulate that. I would rather everything just stay the way it is, and Big Pharma kept their damn hands out of it.
I love everything you just said, man. That was great.
I may be running for governor next year, too.
We have no problem out here. Like I said, I got 5
governor of Indiana in 2020.
I can walk to one of the stores and get some, so I have no problem with it.
I was thinking about getting into Democratic presidential debates because I know I'm smarter than all those people. All right, so Mike, go ahead, Steve.
What's the future for this? I mean, will it get into a medical situation where doctors will start openly prescribing this drug?
Doctors do openly
CBD.
Prescribe it. You're just going to the wrong doctors. Yeah.
They already do.
We as Medical Marijuana Inc. has the first ever CBD product in the physician's desk reference guide. It's a product called RSHO, and that's basically our pure gold liquid oil CBD product from Canaway. It's the same product. But yeah, look that up too. We were the first ones in that physician's desk reference guide. So doctors do prescribe this CBD product for sure.
So how fast does this industry grow? How fast do you get sales force, like a pharma sales force out there marketing and stuff, getting out there and talking to physicians?
I don't know. You would probably know better than we would. It's based on the kind of the standard of what has to happen to get something out in the force like that. So yeah, that's a question for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's better to be first than second. So if I was Canaway, I'd be out there right now building a sales force and getting out and talking.
Oh, we are.
That's why Mike's on right now, Steve. Come on.
We have over 70 former athletes involved in Canaway right now, and I just submitted about 50 or 60 guys that should be approved for that endorsement program as well. So we definitely have a lot of support from former NFL guys mostly, and that's again going back to the whole Nick Lowry thing and getting it approved by the NFL. The NFL is having problems with CTE. They're now backtracking like, oh crap, we got to take care of these guys, or all these concussions and all these lawsuits and things like that going on right now with CTE. Well, this is kind of a cure, not a cure, but kind of something that will kind of settle them down. Okay, great. We got something that will help these guys, and they'll be proactive if they actually approve CBD in the NFL. That will be a very proactive move on the NFL's part, primarily because of the CTE issues going on right now currently.
Yeah, and I would endorse it 100% because it does work.
Yeah, that's Risley. He hadn't even tried it yet, but he'd endorse it. Come on, Steve.
I've got my bottle sitting right here.
I was trying to get some free Canaway, though. You're ruining it. But all right. So, Mike, if people want to find out more about Canaway, why don't you tell us where they can find out about it on the internet? You guys got a Twitter page?
Okay. Yeah. You can go to, I've created kind of a landing page called CanawayPros.com. So it's KANNAWAYPROS, like CanawayPros.com. There's a lot of information on that, and there's a lot of, videos that will show a lot about the endocannabinoid system and actually neurosurgeons talking about who are now cannabis studies scientists who are studying cannabis industry or the actual molecule itself. But they will, talk about how it's the most important thing that's ever been discovered in our humanity. So there's a lot of great videos on that page and a lot of good information. Another page I wanted to recommend is a page. It's our nonprofit from Medical Marijuana Inc. It's a website called Echo Connection. That's ECHO Connection, echoconnection.org. And for you guys as well, that's a very, very good tool for any sort of questions you have about CBD and the cannabis industry itself, and any ailments and any things that you would have as far as diseases or anything like that, any questions about, you type that into the search bar on that website, and it will pull you up studies that have been done So that's a good one for you, Steve, to go look up and every link, every click.
Study. Yeah, I read a bunch of studies, and I know how to read a study. I mean, obviously, I did it for 25 years.
Whatever. Yeah, but you did it as a government shill. You were basically
and there
a
are
prostitute.
a bunch of good studies out there, and there's no negativity to using the product at all. I mean, there are as of now there are no lasting effects, no downside of using this product, and there are none. I mean, and I've read a bunch of the studies. I mean, I have a friend that makes can CBD oil out here in California, and you know, she showed me all the studies and everything went with it, and they've got doctors and pharmacists all involved in this process, doing it the right way, and it's clean. I've been to their lab. It's clean. It's all good. So there is no real downside to not using it. But I think that it seems to me that the problem with this drug right now is there's a stigma that it's attached to marijuana.
It's not a drug.
Well, the product. But it's a stigma that it's attached to marijuana.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and so that's the stigma of what's holding, I think, this industry down right now.
I don't think it's being held down because how much money has been made off CBD in the last year?
Well, they're projecting it to be the first $1 trillion industry.
Yeah. so I don't think it's being held down, Steve.
10,
what's happening is this, Steve. You have a bunch of lobbyists and a bunch of big pharma people that are trying to hold it down.
In marijuana sales in 7 states.
Yeah.
So there's a little difference there. So there's a little, CBD is not anywhere near $1 trillion drug yet. It'll get there. I believe it will.
It's not a drug. And how much CBD has been sold last year?
I'm sorry, product.
It's a molecule, guys.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's in your body already, Steve. It's in your body before you ever take it.
No. All I'm trying to do is to bring out the things that I think that people that are listening to our show would have questions about. That's all.
All right. We have a few questions from listeners on @Grilling Truth. If you don't mind answering them real quick, Mike.
I'm sure I'm going to get ripped on.
No, they're questions. They're not comments about how big a moron Risley was. That was yesterday. Let's see. CBD has been. This is from Todd in Landover, Maryland. CBD has been touted as a cure for a host of ailments ranging from anxiety to pain. In your testing, what has CBD been most effective in treating?
Well, I personally haven't really done any testing, but as far as what I've been experienced with a lot of the guys, sleep is one of the best things that has come up from CBD from a lot of the guys who's have testimonies about it. The other thing is the pain management. Like I said, the Christian Okoye story. He got off all of his opioids and Ambien to sleep at night, but of course the pain. And I personally have noticed a difference in the way I feel as far as my pain and my shoulder. I've had a shoulder issue for a while. I've had 4 back surgeries, but I'm pretty healthy anyways. But so the CBD has definitely affected my whole body in general as far as the way I feel on a daily basis. And it's hard to explain. It's kind of, and Steve, I don't know, you can kind of interject as well, but it's a very, very difficult thing to explain. You just feel better, just naturally. You have a more clear mind, just a natural overall better feeling.
All right.
No, I agree. And I was taking tramadol, which is a synthetic opioid, which doesn't have the effects of opioid, but it gives you the same pain relief. I was taking Neurontin because I have neuropathy in my legs. Yeah. So I was taking both of those drugs. Since I started using CBD, I have jars full of that stuff because I get prescriptions refilled every month, and I just stock it up. And I've got jars full of that stuff that
throw it away, Steve.
That I don't use.
Flush it.
Yeah, no, it's what's going to end up happening. It's going to expire eventually.
Either that or the DEA is going to find out about it and think you're dealing and come bust you.
Yeah, no, it's all just sitting there in the same prescription bottle unopened. But I was using tramadol, was prescribed to me, along with Neurontin, which was a drug used for pain and neuropathy. And I was taking both of those on a daily basis. I did not like taking them because I don't like putting drugs in my body. And then my son said, "Hey, try CBD." And
I was telling you that for like 2 freaking years, Steve.
Yeah, I know, but I don't listen to you, Goodpaster.
I know, and I'm the one
Christ.
that's always right, but you don't listen
I'm
to
sorry,
me.
I said Jesus Christ. I apologize. Jiminy
Yes,
Christmas.
we're not allowed
Let
to
me
say
change
that.
before.
Okay.
I'm not supposed to say Jesus Christ. So
You
Jiminy
just said it
Christmas.
again, so stop it. All right, question from Trevor in Dallas. I know that everyone is different. I am 6'2", 220 pounds. He says, I get confused when I go to the CBD store down here. Is there a minimum amount of CBD that I would want to see in a product? I think he's talking about a minimum amount he should take if it's in a dropper.
What is it, 500 milligrams?
Yeah.
Well, there's all kind of different bottles. I think that's what he's asking.
Well, yeah. As far as in a full container of CBD product, what really needs to happen, and they kind of suggest is kind of the recommended daily dosage for everybody, no matter who you are, as far as any issues you have, or whatever. But 50 milligrams would be kind of a standard, at least 50 milligrams per serving, or 50 milligrams per day will be something that that would be recommended to take. Now, if you've got more issues or problems or whatever, they recommend taking a lot more. It just depends on what you want. Quick story about Amy Van Dyken. She's a part of our Canaway sports program as well. If you guys remember her, she's I think a 6-time Olympic gold medal winner swimmer in the Olympics years ago. But she was paralyzed in an ATV accident about 4 years ago, a little bit longer maybe. But she is part of our Canaway sports program, and she's taken our pure product, which is basically that CBD isolate in an oil. And going back to that whole entourage effect, when they first started giving her the product, they were giving her about 200 milligrams a day of that, and it wasn't really affecting her a whole lot. So she had a lot of pain and things from that injury, and she's around in a wheelchair now. So, but they upped her dosage to 350 milligrams per day, and that was a life changer for her. So my point in saying that is that the CBD in general, it's good by itself, but it's even better with a little bit of THC and other stuff in it, terpenes and all those other CBDs that are good for everything from the hemp plant, of course. But again, it just depends on what kind of problems you're having. I tell people anywhere from 50 to 200 milligrams per day for kind of the average athlete or person. There, the kids, and people say, well, what can kids take? And that there's a lot of kids who have had the epileptic issues, like a lot of seizures and things. And there's actually a family in Brazil that we actually changed the laws in Brazil because of, and that is a true story, that they're giving these kids up to 600 milligrams a day of CBD, and they're just doing fine. That cures it. It doesn't cure it. It keeps them from having as much seizures per day. And this one family in Brazil went from 60, the little child, the 3-year-old, went from 60 seizures per day down to less than 1 or less per day by using our CBD products.
All right.
Okay, Mike.
I got
another question now. Wait,
well, nobody
I got another question. Let me ask my
listeners. Go ahead.
Let me ask. Let's take a different track here. I have 3 dogs.
That's actually tied in with the question that's getting ready to be asked, Steve. If you want me to go ahead.
All right.
No,
go
seriously.
Ahead and ask
if this is about, because I've got a pet question,
pets?
and it is from Bob, who lives in the United Kingdom. And he says, first off, thanks for doing this show today. It has been very informative and changed my opinion. He says that he has 2 older dogs. He says, can I give do they make pet CBD for dogs? And if they do, does Canaway sell it?
Absolutely. We have a product called Dante's, and we have cat stuff and dog stuff. We have treats and food for dogs and oil. I'm sorry, the CBD drops for the oil. As a matter of fact, my girlfriend's got a little Chihuahua that's 15 years old, and Mr. P, he uses CBD twice a day. So there's actually been a lot. And the thing is, the cool thing about animals is that they're not going to tell you how they feel. You're going to know whether they're going to feel better or not. And there are so many people who have talked about, oh my gosh, you would not believe my little Ruffy couldn't even get off the floor, and now he's walking around, he's running, he's catching the ball, and a lot of great stories on animal and CBDs.
All right, Steve, was that close to what you were going to ask?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. I have a 16-year-old miniature schnauzer who's on his last legs. I mean, he's kind of on his deathbed, and we decided to try and give him some and try and see if it gives him. We take him to the vet. Vet said, "Don't put him down. He's not really hurting. He's just getting old and dying." So we really don't want to put a dog down. if he's not in pain. But so we just decided to try that, and he walks around, and he goes on walks again and does things. So it has made a difference.
Now, is there a difference between the CBD, and this comes from Eric, who is in San Antonio, is there a difference between the CBD that you give a dog and you give a person? Because he says he takes CBD. Should he just give his pet that kind, or is there a difference?
There is a difference, but the problem is I don't know exactly what the difference is. I have actually given my dog the CBD isolate that I take as well, and he's done just fine. So I don't think there will be an issue with that. But I don't have the answer for you as far as the difference, but I know there is.
All right.
That's what I do. I just give him some of mine. So.
All right, we have a question from Derek in Seattle, Washington. I heard you guys talk about terpenes. What are terpenes? Or terpenes?
Terpenes, yeah, they're natural. They're actually CBD as well. That's in the hemp plant, and they've actually are what you get the sleepiness from when you're either you're doing the marijuana or the CBD in general from the hemp plant, of course. But that's the molecule in there that's going to make you sleepy. So they actually do make terpene drops. There's companies out there that have these drops specifically for people who need to sleep better. But again, if you're taking just a natural, hemp produced CBD product, you're going to get a lot of the terpenes in it as well. And what really upsets me when CBD companies put extra things in their CBD oil, Melaleuca. Like, I'm going to add Melaleuca to my CBD oil so you sleep at. No. If you got true CBD oil or CBD oil that you're selling, it's going to have terpenes, naturally occurring terpenes in it that will help you sleep. Why would you add a sleep additive to your naturally occurring
because terpenes
CBD?
are basically essential oils that are found in plants, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the essential oils I use, like I've got an issue with my shoulder right now, and I use frankincense on my shoulder. And it does help when you use it. I also have a roll-on CBD that I use, kind of like the cream, but it's a roll-on that if I'm going to go work out, I put that because I've got a partially torn bicep too, because let's face it, I'm 50 and I'm falling apart. But I roll that CBD roll-on, and I can go lift weights with it. Now it'll hurt a few hours later, but it does work.
Yeah, we have it's a salve. It's called Salve, S-A-L-V-E. And matter of fact, if you guys remember the name Joe DeLamiere.
Buffalo Bills offensive lineman. Yeah.
Absolutely. He's part of our program as well. And I've got a voicemail that he's left me a long time ago that talks about how great just the salve alone was for him. He's like, I've had this knee issue for a long time. And he's like, I know it's not a placebo because I've tried a lot of different things on it. And once I put that salve on, it went away. So definitely it does work. And our product's, a full spectrum salve. So it's going to have all the good stuff that come from the hemp plant as well.
All right.
Well, that's a great question. What is the best way? Is there one way or other better? Because there's multiple ways you can apply CBD. You can take it topically. You can take it as a pill. You can take it as I use a dropper and put it right under my tongue, which is the best way to take any drug because that's the fastest absorption that you'll get. What's the best way that you would recommend that somebody that wants to use CBD would go out and start buying a product like that? I mean, I'm sure you can buy CBD in chocolate nuts if you want to, or, in food product. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do it.
Right.
So what's the best way that you would recommend from your company to take the product?
Well, I think you already hit it as far as sublingually, under your tongue. I think that's obviously the best and quickest method of taking CBD. But we have, we have the oil, the droppers. We have the paste. It's kind of like it comes in an oral applicator, and it's kind of pasty. And that is the closest thing to our premium hemp oil applicator is the closest thing you're going to come from just literally eating a hemp plant. It's very earthy. It does not taste very well, but it's part of the thing. They don't process it. They don't take anything out of it. So you're basically that's the and I put that under my tongue and kind of, hold my breath for a while because it does not taste well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's what I do.
Most part,
I squeeze it under my tongue right away. Yeah, and it
right,
almost
right.
within minutes. I mean, you start feeling the effects very, very shortly.
Right, and you have to understand that CBD is a natural anti-inflammatory. So obviously, within that the endocannabinoid system and all that, if you take it internally, you're going to get good results, for that as far as your aches and pains and ailments and all that. Hey. And like I think Mike was talking about with the salve or the cream on the topical, it is kind of I don't want to call it a Band-Aid, but it does work, and it's not going to be a cure of all. It's not going to take all the pain away, but when you can continue to take CBD internally, that's when you're going to have the best opportunity to.
Right. When you
I'll tell you another thing for inflammation.
You got to go through the dermis. You got to get through 7 layers of skin to get it down.
The other thing is this: for the inflammation.
Well, no, I sold topical.
Nobody cares what you did when you were pimping yourself out for money for Big Pharma. But what we've got.
That wasn't Big Pharma. That was my own product.
Oh, okay. You made your own product?
Yeah. Well, I worked for a company a small group of people that made it. Yeah, I went out and marketed and sold it.
All right. Okay, are you done? But one thing I found for inflammation that works really well is when you take the CBD, after that, take some like green tea and put some turmeric in it, and the turmeric combined with the CBD really helps with pain.
Oh, very nice. Good idea.
Just so you know, Steve.
I have green tea sitting out there right now, so I'm going to go take a CBD shot and go get some green tea.
Well, you got to have turmeric in it.
I'll give it a shot.
Turmeric is one of the best things for pain relief you could possibly put in your body, too.
All right. Now, Mike, too, here's the tough question.
Just blow me off. Go ahead.
How expensive is this? Because, this is not cheap stuff. What can somebody expect to pay to use CBD on a regular basis per month?
Well, again, it just depends
I know what
on
I
the
pay
product.
for mine.
It depends on.
Let him answer, Steve.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, that people, obviously, because the FDA hasn't started regulating this industry, people are putting numbers on their CBD, product that aren't coming out to be the numbers that they're saying they are. So my point in saying that is that, when you look at per gram and all that, our gold oral applicator has 3,600 milligrams of CBD in it, and that's a 1 month supply. So that gives you 120 milligrams of CBD per serving. So yeah, and again, it's not cheap, but per gram, it's very, very comparable to a lot of products out there right now on the market.
Steve, let me ask you this. When Vicodin was out there, what did that cost you for a month's supply?
I don't know if I've ever taken a Vicodin in my life, Mike. I don't
That's
think
not
I
the
ever
point,
have.
though. The point is,
I don't know what
big
Vicodin
pharma
costs.
drugs
I have
are
no idea.
really expensive. So if you're paying $100 to $200 a month for CBD that's actually pure, I don't know what Canaways cost, but
and I'm going to make this one statement, and Mike. You understand that when somebody goes to the pharmacy and buys a pill, it goes through 5 layers of change.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, pharmacy makes it. Pharmaceuticals make it.
You understand the reason it's so expensive is because of Big Pharma?
Or McKesson Robbins or one of the things. Mm-hmm. They sell it to a pharmacy, then it goes out to retail. So everybody takes a markup off that drug.
Uh-huh.
So quit blaming pharma.
Okay, quit blaming pharma. You know what? The biggest bitches
right.
in the world are the ones that say quit blaming pharma. Because pharma is the problem for 90% of the medical problems in this country, Steve. And everything that pharma put out don't do shit. So I don't want to hear the big pharma thing and all the markups. And don't blame big pharma. Big pharma's making more money off of this than anything else.
They're not the sole part of the problem. It goes through 5 different layers before it ever gets to the public.
Well, you know what?
Everybody takes a profit off that layer.
How about this? If the first layer didn't exist, the other 4 wouldn't.
And if Big Pharma wasn't investing $6 billion, we invested $6 billion a year into research and development to create drugs.
Yeah, drugs that don't work, that kill
Pfizer.
people.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I can tell you this. You know what?
I'm sorry, I said Jesus Christ.
The
again.
fact that you use the Lord's name in vain repeatedly when you know I don't
did it one more
appreciate
time,
it
yeah.
shows the lack of respect you have for me anyways. You're the only one laughing on that. You know, I don't care if you
Big
say
Pharma
shit. I don't care if you
is
say
is
the
a
F
part
word.
of the process that creates the price of a drug.
Yeah, whatever.
But there are
Steve, there's
4
no
other parts
reason
that
for drugs.
add to that.
Everything that can cure you is in nature. Everything. All medicine
I
is
agree with
herbal.
that.
All medicine is herbal.
Of
It is
course
big
you
pharma,
are.
and all pharmaceuticals are made up to make rich people richer and to keep poor people sick. Because if you keep us sick, you keep taking money from us. It's the same reason, and I hate to get off on a tangent. Y'all know I don't like to do that, but it's the same reason you have so many government handouts. Because you know what? If the government's giving you money to live, you're going to let them do whatever the hell they want because you don't want them to take your check away. This whole thing is a sham, Steve, and until people like you realize what you did was wrong. I love you as a person, Steve, but what you did was wrong. Anybody that works for them is wrong because they are not needed. They just want to keep the American public drugged up, stupid, and dependent on them. And that's what they do. And all this comes through your government.
Mike, I don't use, I have my Tramadol and my Neurontin and my Norvasc sitting in a drawer, and I'm using CBD oil.
Yeah.
And I feel much better than I did.
So I don't know why you keep trying to
drugs.
defend it. I know you're trying to make yourself feel better about what you did, but it's just not a good thing. And I know you didn't know that at the time, just like doctors. You know, when you go to a doctor will almost never talk to you about nutrition because Big Pharma controls what's taught to them at medical school. And it's not taught to them that a lot of things can be cured herbally, naturally, by stuff you can take that doesn't have a bunch of different issues if you take it. I mean, this is the thing. The big thing about CBD is it does no harm. You know, it does no harm. It's not going to kill you. You're not all of a sudden going to want to have suicidal tendencies, Steve. But you do when you take the other stuff.
I just bought my wife a cookbook called Plant-Based Diets.
Yeah, so? Doesn't change the fact that you keep defending the other stuff.
Well, I don't use it. So anyway, all right.
Okay. Tramadol, so you know, is an opiate. So that makes it bad, Steve. All right. Once again, before we get too far off tangent, we're going to wrap it up so Mike doesn't wonder why in the hell he agreed to come on this show. Mike, tell us where they can find Canaway one more time.
Say that again. I'm sorry. I got off an elevator.
Well, tell everybody where they can find out more about Canaway before we wrap it up.
Canaway Pros, KANNAWAYPROS, CanawayPros.com. There's a landing page. It'll give you a lot of information on Canaway products and the company and everything. So that's a good landing page to go to.
All right, guys. Make sure you check out Canaway Pros. Mike, we'd love to have you on again sometime. Maybe we'll have you come on and talk a little football sometime.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
All right, I want to remind everybody you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, over 300 different places. Basically, if you can find podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Mike Hollis, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.